as you're executing upon each one of these very, very small action plans, what you're doing is you're building a better foundation for your business or your goal for it to grow.
This is Don't Fear Grit with Rob Taormina. Marketing strategies and advertising technologies to help you build a better business.
So have you ever heard of the phrase, actions speak louder than words? It's probably something that you heard a lot when you were a kid, and it's probably a phrase that you are still using to this day. The origin is a little bit iffy, but in most cases it dates back to the 17th century, and it was definitely made famous by a few speeches done by Abraham Lincoln right around, I think it was like 56, right around that time. I'm looking to Craig, by the way, my producer. Like, can you confirm this for me? But I think it was right around 1856. He was giving a bunch of speeches, and I think he really made that phrase, actions speak louder than words, pretty famous. But now it's a really commonly used phrase. And but I don't want it to sort of like get lost, and I don't want us to start referencing this phrase lightly. I want us to understand it. Because recently, in our last episode, we got to sit down and interview Diane Curley, who's the author of Celebrating Women and also a local nurse, and she travels the world also as a missions nurse in various third world countries, doing some incredible things. But in that discussion, we talked about action, and where the process might be challenging, but we need to commit to action to really getting things done and being successful in what it is that we're trying to accomplish. And that's what I really want to focus on today, is this word action. And the thing is, whatever it is that we want to accomplish in life, it's accomplished through action. Now, here is a sort of official Webster's dictionary definition of the word action, and here's the few variations of this definition. It says, an act that one consciously wills and that may be characterized by physical or mental activity, something done or performed, an act or a deed. Energetic activity. So this word action requires something, whether it be in our mental capacity or physical capacity, doing something in order to complete a task, because tasks don't get done by themselves. We can't just sort of like will it and things naturally get finished. So in life, in business, we need to commit to action. And there's actually very specific systems that have been put in place when it comes to action items, creating an action plan in business. During leadership trainings, people will be taught on creating action plans. So all of this is actually intentional on a very high level. Upper management, ownership, entrepreneurs, people are doing this and being very intentional about it because they want an intentional result. So because success is not an accident, I think we can all agree on that statement by now. Since it's not an accident, that means we need to be intentional, and we need to be intentional with our plan and then executing that plan via action. So there's a few recommendations when it comes to creating action plans, and I'm going to actually reference my notes here for you guys on some sample action plans. But an action plan, it generally includes steps, milestones, measures of progress, as well as responsibilities, specific assignments, and a timeline. Now, action plans are really, really important part of strategic planning. But one thing that I want to recommend is when you're creating an action plan is to not be general, be very specific, and also narrow it down. Like, think about math and the lowest common denominator. What you want to do when creating an action plan is you want to be realistic about it and create action plans that are attainable, that then lead to the next plan. It's a stepping stone, right? So each completion of an action plan is a stepping stone to a new action plan. So by doing it this way, by formulating your action plan in such a way, is you're going to help with self-confidence. You're going to reduce the amount of discouragement, which ultimately is going to position you better for potential success. And that's ultimately what we want for you guys. So whatever it is that you're doing in life, right now, I'd like you guys sort of think of that role that you have. If you own a business, think about the business that you own. If you are a business professional, you're working for someone else, but think about your role and things that are necessary in order for you to level up. If you have this idea for a brand new company, think about this company right now. But I want you to think about it in terms of very small action plans. So instead of saying my action plan is I own this company and right now the company's only doing $150,000 and I want it to do $100 million a year, let's create an action plan. No, let's get to the lowest common denominator, in sort of speaking, and let's sort of like work. Okay, eventually that's a great goal. The $100 million business is a wonderful long-term goal, but you're doing $150,000 now. So action plans could be things like infrastructure. They could be very specific. Hiring. And then even within the world of hiring brand new staff, we can actually simplify that even more. It could be the interview process. It could be how many interviews are required before we actually hire someone. It could be the first 30 days of someone working for us after they're hired. What is the process there? And then creating an action plan. How many staff do we want to be involved with the training aspect versus the hiring aspect? Like you simplify it. And then what you do is, as you're executing upon each one of these very, very small action plans, what you're doing is you're building a better foundation for your business or your goal for it to grow. And that's how these things are attainable. You want to know one of the secrets to success. One of the secrets to really successful leaders is that what they're doing is they're creating very, very specific action plans for specific things that need to be done. Instead of just being general and thinking about your goal, if you just try to create one action plan to accomplish a huge goal, more often than not, and I'll actually probably say that probably 99.9% of the time, you're going to end up failing because you're going to get discouraged along the way. But what you do is you're going to do it in bite-sized chunks, and then what it'll allow you to do, create better, more sounder infrastructure. It'll create better processes that'll give your staff a better experience. It'll also give you the end user, your consumer, your client, your patient. You're going to give them a better experience. And then ultimately, each one of those steps are going to position you to be able to accomplish the bigger goal down the road by creating these actionable action plans, because it's part of strategic planning. And then remember, the next part of the tip is to create simple forms of action plans. Now, this is not just for entrepreneurs and business professionals and people looking to start a brand new company. This is great for life in general. Think about if you have a big goal that you eventually want to buy a house. Okay, create action plans that will position you to be able to buy a house. The action plan is not buying the house. The action plan is the things that it will enable you to buy the house. Or if the goal is a little bit smaller, I want to buy my very first car. Wonderful. Let's create an action plan, strategic planning that'll position you so that you can buy your first car, and then so on and so forth. This is a great life lesson that we can pull from really successful leaders that they're applying in their own life. And while they're able to, these are the reasons why they're able to level up faster. They're able to achieve success a lot faster because they're intentional with the organization of their action plans. And that's what we wanted to talk about today. So during that interview that I had with Diane Curley in our last episode, she really made that great point about action, being intentional about that stuff. So this is why today, in the follow-up to that episode, we wanted to really emphasize action as an important role in our life, because actions, in fact, do speak louder than words. Guys, thanks for tuning into this episode. If you missed, though, the episode that this is referencing, it's literally right before this. It's with Diane Curley, the author of Celebrating Women. So you can check that out as well. And we appreciate you guys being a part of this community. We love the Don't Fear Grit community. It is a growing podcast community. It's a growing social media community. We really want to empower a lot of people and inspire them to take action themselves, to take ownership. And we want people to realize that they should not be fearing the process, right? So that's where we're going to end it here, guys. Remember, guys, don't fear the process and don't fear grit. We'll see you next time.